This video is on the non-duality spiritual teaching, what it truly is, and what it is professed to be, and a few other philosophical concepts that delve into the nature of how non-duality functions on the highest level. And so if I stop every now and then, it's because when I say stop, I'm not going to stop the video, but what I mean is trying to gather my thoughts so I can present it in such a way that is reflective of the complexity of what it really is. So you need to pay attention if you want to understand what I'm trying to communicate. So to get to the foundation of non-duality, most people that have spent any significant amount of time studying non-duality, they will understand the way it's taught and what they really think it means is there's that teaching where in a dimly lit room there's a rope coiled up in the corner, and it is assumed to be a cobra snake. And of course that causes fear, and you react and you do a lot of things based upon your belief that it's a poisonous snake that can kill you, when in fact it's just a rope. And so according to non-duality, you remove the ignorance, you remove the false thinking, the beliefs, and all of that kind of stuff. And what is left? What is left is the absolute and utter truth of the entire reality, that in fact it's a snake. Ha ha ha. No, it's a rope. That's what the teaching is. It's a rope. So in their talking about non-duality, what is the rope? The rope is God. And so when you remove the ignorance of thinking you're a human being, or thinking that you're alive, or thinking this, that, it doesn't matter what you think. They will teach you that you have to surrender all these thoughts, and you have to surrender everything. And when you do so, there's only one thing left, and that's God. Therefore, when ignorance is removed, you will realize that you and God are one and the same. And of course, that goes similarly if Christians were to ever spend any time in deep study of what their religion teaches. It's very similar, because Jesus they talk about the Trinity, and Jesus was God, etc., etc. And of course, that's not true either. Just like non-duality is not true. So let me tell you, or not tell you, explain to you what reality really is. And of course, this can be assumed exactly like them teaching about non-duality. When you surrender ignorance, there's one step left in non-duality, and that is surrender the ignorance that you think the only thing remaining is God, therefore you're God. You have to surrender that. And then you realize, oh, you're not God. But of course, they never get that far. So let me explain what is going on in all reality. there is a core essence of what you are. Let me sidetrack here for a second, and I'm just going to ask a lot of rhetorical questions. So, what is God? What created God? What is God made out of? Now, if you're advanced in spirituality, you will answer that as God is pure awareness. Okay, well, what is pure awareness? Well, that's God. Well, you get into this circular logic and everything, or illogic, if you will, and they can't answer the question because they keep going in circles. Well, what is creating the pure awareness? What is creating that? And of course, they never can, because they don't know what it is. They don't know what God is. They don't know what God is made out of. Because, see, God creates himself through the creation of the universe. Therefore, God is everything. And so God manifests as a remote control, for instance. God manifests as a pair of reading glasses. God manifests as a human body talking to you like this. So God is everything. But that's because God created everything. But still, then if you backtrack and go, well, if God created himself into a remote control and everything else in existence, what did he use to create himself? What is doing the creation of all these things? Because it can't be something, because if it is something, if God is something, then that thing is the core essence of God. It's more powerful than God, because God came from it. Does that make sense? If God is not the primordial essence of out of nothingness, then God is not God. That other thing is God that's creating God. So what is that? That is I call it essence. I don't have a word for it. But essence has no definable physical character traits or anything that Jesus referred to it as a seed. So it has the essence of being able to develop itself. So that essence of what it is has created itself, meaning me. I have created myself using everything disposable to me that God has created. Now, do I do this entirely on my own? No, because I can't do anything on my own without God providing a spirit, without God creating a soul, a ghost, if you want to call it that. God created everything, but I was the one that chose to participate in all these things to create myself. In essence, when God pulls everything away, when God dissolves everything into nothing, back to nothing from his illusory dream that he created everything, when that's gone and there isn't any tangible substance left, then where's God? Well, God still exists. Then where's you? Well, you still exist. But the essence core of what you are has no tangibility to it other than things that you can define that by what it does. Like Jesus said, you can tell by their fruits. What are the fruits? The fruits are, what are you going to do when you're here? Are you going to be greedy? Are you going to be loving? Are you going to be kind? Are you going to be a teacher? Are you going to be a missionary? What is it that defines you? And that is the essence defining itself through the actions that it chooses. Now, that essence of what it is, in some cases in Christianity or whatever, they can say, well, there's a war in heaven between good and evil and this and that and everything else. Well, I mean, I guess you could call it a war, but I don't see it that way. I see it as there is a choices being made because we have free will. And you can choose to follow a path that leads you to God or away from God. But we never know what that path is that leads to God. When I say we never know, that's not entirely true. When a person becomes God enlightened, then they know what that path is. And the reason they know that path is because they keep inquiring. Am I on the path? Am I doing things right? In prayer, to help me, God, to understand. And then you get messages that maybe come in dream form or visions or revelations or whatever. And everybody gets those. It's just that almost nobody recognizes that that is directly from the Creator God. They don't recognize it because they think and correlate that everything that comes to them is from the mind or the brain, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, getting back to this non-duality thing. Yes, there is a Satan. There is a Shiva. There is Jesus. There is a God, a Creator God. And so consequently, through your choice, free will, you get to choose what proclivities you are drawn to. And so consequently, that is the battle, so to say, the battle that is going on for your soul, your essence and everything. So in non-duality, when they teach that you no longer exist, all ignorance is removed. There is no you. You are God. There is no you. You are God. Because when ignorance is removed, because you surrendered everything, there's nothing left except God. Well, the God of this world is Satan, is Shiva. So in essence, what is happening here is you truly are becoming nothing because you are giving yourself over to Satan. You are the spoils of war. You are whatever you want to call it. But it's because that's what you're drawn to. What do you get in return for selling your soul to the devil? I mean, that's a word that is used, thrown around by a lot of people. So you know what it means. I'm being a little facetious here, but it's the same as, it's essentially the same thing. So what are you getting in return when you surrender everything or sell your soul to the devil? What is your reward? Well, your reward is sometimes spiritual enlightenment. It is always, wisdom, intelligence, knowledge. Power comes with all of these things too, by the way. Financial gain. The list is on and on and on and on and on. Those are the tangible rewards of selling your soul to Satan and becoming one with God. And you are God because now you function through the creation of Satan. Since Satan is the God of this world, you function through that. Now think about this for a second. When you die, and that's the path you've chosen, just like anyone that chooses God, you reincarnate as a human being again because you've gone through the process. And according to Hindu theology, which is by the way, true. You've experienced all different forms of life. Hell, you were an alligator at one time. But now you're a human being. You're at the top of the food chain. And spiritually speaking. So when you sell your soul over and you become one with this God of this reality, those are your rewards. Those are your rewards. But when you reincarnate, how are you going to reincarnate? Because see, here's the thing. You've already chosen a path to be one with that God. So when you reincarnate, can you reincarnate into a spirit or a soul that has chosen Christ, Jesus, or God or whatever? No, you can't, because that isn't the path you followed. You're following a different path. That's why in this reality that we live, the vast majority, 2/3 of all the human beings on this planet are one with that God. Now, when I say one with that God, I mean truly one with that God. They're unaware that they're one with that God, but they are one with that God. And then through the process of spiritual growth and everything else, and they go to Sangha and all kinds of different spiritual meetups and everything else, because you're born and you only live 100 years before you die, or 30 years, or whatever the case may be. And in that period of time, you're drawn towards certain things, like a person likes candy, or do they like broccoli? I'm being facetious again, but what I mean is you're drawn to the flavor of what is appealing to your heart and soul, your essence of what you are. And those that are drawn to Satan are drawn in by the power of money, by the power of knowledge and wisdom and all these things. Now, that also is true with those that choose God as to follow. You can have a spiritual enlightenment and knowledge and wisdom too, but what you don't get is what the others get, which is the issue with power in this world. Now, this is one thing that I've been thinking about, and I don't know if I should make another video on it or should I include it in this video. But there's a concept that, for instance, we're currently 2 years into this virus issue, and there are medical procedures that, when I say procedures, vitamins and this and that and everything else that people can take, and it's proven in many countries of the world that if you get sick, it will cure you. You don't have to be put on a breathing ventilator and die and this and that and everything else. But at least in this country, as well as most of the world, if a doctor prescribes these things, they can lose their medical license. Why? Because they're not following the procedures that have been designated official. They're going outside the designated realm of what is and isn't acceptable. Now, you could argue that the reason it's that way is because the major pharmaceutical companies have dictated to the government what can and can't be done because it benefits them, and they really don't care about the lives of people. They want their money, and they're not making as much money if a witch doctor or whatever the case may be prescribes different things that heals you. So it doesn't matter what's right or wrong. What matters is following the rules. That is the structure of this reality that Satan is in control of. And if you follow those rules and those structures, you can rise to the top and be a very powerful person, very wealthy, et cetera, et cetera. But you can't fall outside those rules. So The same thing holds true in all religions in the world. Every religion on the planet Earth depends on what religion you are. You have a set of rules that you must follow. And if you don't follow those rules, you will be excommunicated from whatever church it is, or you have to follow the rules. Well, there are no rules with the true God that I'm talking about. And it isn't even a rule, but it's a policy. And that is, if you don't love God with all of your heart, might, mind, and soul, with every fiber of your being, with every essence that you are, bhakti love, call it whatever you want to call it. But if that isn't paramount in you, then you deviate to a certain degree away from the Creator God, and deviate away until at the other end of the spectrum, you're fully in the camp of Shiva, or Satan, which is the god of rules and regulations. And so you can't have it both ways. That's why Jesus said you can't serve two masters, because one, you can't, because they're opposed with each other. You can't serve two masters. That's like saying, well, I'm going to work for the police department as a cop, and I'm going to tell the truth about everything, and I am going to take bribes under the table and everything. Well, you can do that, of course, but you can't tell the public, and you can't tell your boss. So you have to lie. So do you see how that works? If you're going to tell the truth, you will get fired as a cop and thrown in jail. So you can't serve two masters. So in this particular world, this realm, if you're going to follow God, you're going to not be able to follow any religion, faith. You're not going to be able to follow the rules, which means you're not going to be successful. Life is going to be very, very difficult for those that choose that path. You're going to find you're 100% and utterly alone, unless you find another person on that path, and then you might have a friend. Short of that, you're on your own, meaning you're on your own with God. Now, the problem with that is it's extremely difficult to feel the tangibility of the love of God, meaning when you know you're on the right path. In other words, spiritual enlightenment and this sort of thing. It's very hard to obtain that. And so consequently, short of not having these tangible things, because it could take, seriously, there's not many people in the world that have that. So what happens is they abandon that path and cleave to a faith or a religion or whatever that helps them feel good, and then they follow the rules and regulations of those organizations. Now, let me be crystal clear here. I'm not denigrating religions, because all of them have good things. I mean, I wouldn't be where I am today, spiritually speaking, if it weren't for being a member of churches and going to Sangha groups and listening to gurus and having friends and all those sorts of things. I wouldn't be here today. You have to experience these things, and you have to go through the trials. And the trials are exceedingly difficult and definitely not fun. But they just come. That's just the way it is on that path. I mean, nobody can say Jesus was whistling Dixie and having a fun time while he's being nailed to a cross, right? I mean, come on. He himself is on the cross going, hey, God, why have you forsaken me, man? This isn't what I signed up for. At least I didn't think I signed up for it, but nevertheless, this isn't the funnest thing. Well, if you follow Christianity or any kind of path like that, and he's your example, why would you think you're going to have a wonderful time and everything is just going to be one thing after another, just more bliss, more bliss, more bliss, and it's just funner and everything is hunky-dory, and eventually you become one with God? That's never going to happen. Why? Because you're born into this world, this reality, where the God is Satan, Shiva, this God, and you're here. This isn't your home. You're never going to make this reality a heaven on earth. It's not going to happen because this is the realm of Satan. This is the realm that is a place for you to be tested, if you will. It's also a place for those who choose Satan to perfect their skills and to do what they do best. Anyways, I think I've done enough, or said enough, done enough too, yeah. Anyways, thank you for watching. I hope the best for everyone. I love those that love God and feel sorry for those that are struggling. And I just hope you do well in life. Thanks for watching. Bye.